and for you to think about and begin cogitating, how visible do I want to be? How much do I want to shine? I'd like to now welcome Rebecca back on the stage, and remember that the Shine community is a way also to have more visibility. And visibility is a good thing. Visibility brings money, and money's a good thing, right? All right, so let's, again, stand and give Rebecca another standing welcome to our stage.
Thank you. There's something special about starting every presentation with a standing ovation. I highly recommend it. It takes all the pressure off. You start in a wonderful place and you can just enjoy the journey together. This section, we're going to be talking about stop being the best kept secret. When I go out in the world and speak on different stages and different platforms, I like to ask a question. How many of you want to make a positive difference? For your passing there, you want to impact people in a positive way. Yeah, I find most of us want to do that. How many of us, however, feel like people really, really know what we stand for? When they have that need, that issue, they know who to call. You're top of mind. They see you on that level. How many of you? Wonderful. It's a much smaller number, though. And here's what I've learned about that. Too many of us are waiting on the sidelines to be discovered. We have to lead it. If we want to make a difference on this level, but our visibility is here, we're the ones that can make that different, not anyone else. There's not someone out there that's magically going to put you on a stage and all your dreams are going to come true. All the people that need you are going to hear you. And believe me, people need you. We have to be willing to be seen on the same level we want to serve. And the only one limiting that is ourselves. So I want to give you full permission today going forward. If you're waiting for somebody to give you that permission, I give it to you. I want to call you forth. You are needed. People are hurting. People are discouraged. People are losing hope. People are praying and dreaming for somebody just like you to give them a hug, to give them encouragement, to walk beside them. But they can't see you. We have, when we're in that place of pain, it's like this big, thick pea soup fog comes down. And when that happens, you've had a loss. Suddenly life is different and will never be the same going forward. When you have those moments, you're just trying to breathe. Okay, I can take a breath. I can take another. And all you see is darkness. The only thing I know that cuts through darkness is light. So when I talk about shining, I'm talking about us being willing to be that light, to shine so brightly that through that darkness they can see a safe path. They can actually see your hand out held. But we have to be willing to shine that brightly, that authentically, that transparently. I am here for you. And we reach out the hand and can help them. But that means no more hiding. Behind the roles that we play, behind our credentials, behind our content, behind our information, we put on all these beautiful things that we hide behind. And the reason people aren't hearing us, the reason people aren't feeling us, is because there's all this stuff in between you and them. And the only way to have them connect with you on a heart level is you've got to be willing to open your heart to them. You have to be willing to take all that stuff that can be blocking. We think it's protecting, but it's blocking you from the people that need you most. So I'm going to invite you as we talk, look for ways to see where maybe you're hiding a little bit. Perhaps there's a way you can step forward just a little bit more. Like look for a step, an action that you can take, that you can lean into to make a difference for another, to be willing to be seen just a little bit more. I'm wearing ruby slippers because we have the power right now. We've had it all the time. We're the ones that can choose to step forward. We're the ones that can extend our hands. So I want to encourage you to do that, to find your ruby slippers, to play life your way. Be willing to shine in that. And in fact, I'm not talking just about just kind of showing up. This is tricky doing a shoe chain on stage here. Thank you. But let's shine. Can we do that? Beautiful. And I want to share a little bit because we recently released this book, Come Out of Hiding and Shine, which was the first anthology I have ever led. And I thought it was the anthology. I didn't realize it was going to create a series called the Shine series. So I'll share a little bit more about that later. But this book, Come Out of Hiding and Shine, is actually very personal to me. And the people that went on this journey with me shared so transparently, so deeply, their hearts and what it's really like to come out of hiding. What it's really like to step into the light. Because it can be really scary. And it can be really wonderful. And it is so worth the journey. Can I share a little bit about why I believe this so powerfully? Because I didn't come out of the womb, ta-da! That is not how life was for me. If we go back in time, as a little girl, 5.5 years old, my parents got divorced. And I was thrust into an environment of abuse. I experienced things a little girl should never experience. Those who should have cared for me did not. When I cried out for help, it wasn't believed, and I was put back, and it became more severe. So I decided some things in this environment. I must not matter. I'm not okay. There's something wrong with me that's causing this. And it's absolutely not safe in any way, shape, or form to be seen or heard. And I must be unlovable. So I decided the safest course was to stay below the radar, blend into the background, do my best to not be seen, to smile really big, with really sad eyes, acting like everything was okay. And I shared earlier about my dad and my mom of my heart, Patty. They rescued me. They pulled me out of that environment, fought for me, and with me as I went on that healing journey. My stepmom, Patty, I was so hungry for a mother's love. I would just follow her around like a little chick. Right? And she would let me, and she welcomed me in as her own. She became my mom, which I'm so grateful for. My dad was willing to fight the fight and bring me home and get me the help and the support that I needed. So here's what I learned. I'm not alone. Life is not a solo journey. And they loved me, so I must be lovable. I had value. I had great worth. There was a great cost in rescuing me. I must have great worth. and value. And I'm actually beautiful and wonderfully made. And when I look out in the world, you are too. Each of you. And I see so many men and women that are still believing those lies. And it hurts my heart. So that's why I'm on a mission to provide tools, resources, platforms to help those who need you see you, hear you, be supported, be encouraged, because it is not a solo journey. We need people to walk beside us. We need to be willing to be visible, to stand up, to pour into another, to reach out our hands. Because it is safe to be seen. It is safe to be heard. And in fact, you are desperately needed. And I can't shine the way each of you can shine, and they need all of our shininess, all of the different ways that we're made. But the choice is yours. I can't make that choice for you. But can I share what gave me the courage to start stepping forward? So I remembered my healing journey. I used to have these conversations with God. I don't know if any of you have ever done that. But it would go something like this. You know, you get this knowing that you need to do this thing that's like really hard and you really don't think you should have to because, you know, you've suffered enough, right? I shouldn't have to do that thing. Tell that truth. Take that stand. I shouldn't have to. And I would tell God in silence. And then the conversation would continue. Because you know when you know when you know. I knew these were steps I needed to take. I said, okay, God, okay, here's the deal. I will do this mean, hard, horrible thing I really don't think I should have to do, again, underlined, if it can make a difference for another. If my taking this stand, if my sharing this truth, if my being uncomfortable, being vulnerable can make a difference for one, I will do it. And that's how my healing journey began. Because I cared far more for others than I did for myself. It took a long time to love me too. But when those new opportunities come, those new things that stretch me come, the same conversation happens again. But now it's like God plays this other role. He shows me the deal. You did these things, it's made a difference. Now are you willing to do more? So I was a financial advisor for many years, 15 years, almost 15. And I'd worked for a large corporation, a Fortune 500. I traveled across the country. I was like the go-to expert. And then towards the later part of my career, had my own practice, my own financial advising practice that I built myself. I learned how to become an entrepreneur. That's different. Learned a lot of valuable lessons in that. All the different hats, how to grow a business through speaking. Like I learned all of those things and achieved a lot. I ended up achieving the $25 million club with my work as a financial advisor. So here I am, newly married. My practice is thriving. It's where I want it to be. And then God comes knocking on the door. And I felt like he was saying, Rebecca, it's time now. It's time for you to go share your story. And I didn't think I should have to. That's not what financial advisors do. We don't talk about that kind of stuff. Let me empower them around money. I love doing that. I love wearing my uniform. I love hiding behind all my credentials and empowering information to people. I don't want to have to share my story, my heart. 9 months I wrestled and wrestled and wrestled, thinking, well, all the other people were more qualified than I that should, that I shouldn't have to. And finally I'm like, okay, God, okay. I will do this mean, hard, horrible thing you're asking me to do if you bring the people together. Tell me what to say, but don't bring too many people. I don't think I can make a connection with more than 50 people at a time, so mind that limit. No cameras, no film, no pictures. I don't want anything recorded ever. I'll use a microphone because my voice isn't super loud. I can give on that. No writing, no books. Don't really know what I'm going to offer. Let's go change the world. Silence. Haven't you ever done that? Like, I want to change, but let's keep it safe. Let's keep it contained. And I felt like God came back to me and said, I think you misunderstood. This is yes or no. Period. Will you go where I send you, share what I call you to share, or not? It is your choice. Ooh. So crying, a basket case. My new husband's like, what's happened to my financial advisor? Why? Basket case. Okay, I'll do this. But I really hope I don't have to, and I listed everything again just to make sure. Within a few months, I was on stage in front of 300 people, live streamed, so we knocked those couple off. And I had 2 book deals in the works. One became an international bestseller, which launched me into the visibility that led to Voice America and radio and television and all those kinds of things. And I had 7 minutes to share, terrified, knees knocking. I don't even know what I said. You ever had that? Like you have the heart, but the words you don't know. You're almost out of your body, but in your heart, like your heart and intention. That's how I was. I knew and was so convinced there was someone in the audience that needed what I had to say. And I was willing to be scared. I was willing to be uncomfortable if it could make a difference for that person. I was willing to do that. But I will tell you, those of you who are stretching, here's a way to set yourself up for success. I made a plan of escape if I needed it. I had the whole exit strategy figured out, so I was no longer had to be there. I was choosing. Every minute I chose to stay on that stage, I was choosing to make a difference. I was choosing to be vulnerable and say whatever was called forth. When I finished, I got a standing ovation that I never saw. It wasn't until I got off the stage and there was this lineup of men and women, a lineup, waiting to talk to me, and said, Rebecca, I was the one. How did you know? I was the one. I was the one. I was the one. And I could tell you were terrified, but you loved me enough to share it anyway. Thank you. I'm inspired. I'm encouraged. And I learned something really powerful. That was the encouragement I needed to keep going. I learned you don't have to be perfect. Release that. You just have to be willing. Show up. Be willing. Let people support you. Let them pour into you. Let them cheer you on. And be willing to share what is on your heart. Be willing to reach out your hand. That's all it takes. And what helps me through the fear, that discomfort, the I've never been here before stuff, is I remember my why. If I can make a difference for one, I am willing. And that's what it comes down to. Every opportunity, every door that opens, it comes back to, is this going to make a difference for another? Is this going to help equip and empower them? Is this going to help them shine? Is this going to help them know how needed they are, how valuable they are, what a gift each of you are? What's your why? When the hard times come, not if, when those stretching, challenging times come, it's important to remember your why. And it's very important to have people around you that will remind you of your greatness when you get scared, when you forget, when you can't see it. Let people into your life to support you and be willing to be that in another's life. That's how we make a global difference. It's heart by heart, life by life. And I have someone really special that I want to honor. Remember the story I told you this morning about my grandma? Grandma, who poured into me, heart by heart, life by life, has joined us today. Can we give my grandma a round of applause? I love you. Thank you, Grandma. And we're actually going to be putting together a book the book is together actually. We're releasing the book the last week of November, first week of December, called The Grandmother Legacies, where many of us are honoring our grandmothers and the legacies they have given to us that we are bringing forward. And sometimes that's our why, or where some of our why came from. So I want you to take a moment and just think about, what is your why? Why do you want to make a positive difference? Why does that matter to you? Just take a moment. Why do you want to make a difference? And what is that difference? I'm going to give you a moment to write. Interactive. Okay, let's take a breath together. I want to give you some things that you can take with you that will serve you today, but I believe will serve you as you go back out into the world. So one message I want you to hear over and over and over is, who goes in the center? Part of playing to our strengths is remembering to play the way we're made, setting ourselves up for success. My example of eyeing the exit strategy shifted me from being a victim, had to be there, to choosing. It's a very different energy to stand in. We get to choose every day to show up where we show up, to be how we're going to be. And it's important to think about, what are you shining out? Because it's not just when we're on stage or introducing ourselves that we're shining all the time. So you want to think about purposely, what are you choosing to shine out? Is it frustration? Because that has an energy of vibration. Is it joy? Is it love? So when you're thinking about you want to think, how are you showing up in your life? Are you? An example of time I was in the grocery store. Anyone ever been to a grocery store? Am I alone? Yes, I shop at a grocery store. It's not all male to me, though. I do that too. In a grocery store, rush hour traffic, it's so busy, like a Sunday afternoon kind of thing. And then something goes wrong with the registers. You can feel that temperature shift in the room as the lines get longer and people get frustrated and they start abandoning carts. Was that kind of a day? I was at Lucky's, and something went wrong technology-wise. And the lady in front of me was getting very frustrated. Like you could feel the waves of energy, not necessarily positive, coming off. And I remember sitting there as we're waiting and waiting. Like, here's a moment. I get to pause. I get to breathe. I get to choose how I want to be today. What do I want to echo out in this moment? What do I want to observe? Like I got to be present. And I'm observing this woman in front of me and the person in front of them and the people behind me. And this was a powerful lady in front of me. And then I observed the checkout lady. She was having the time of her life. She was chatting and she's ringing the things up and just having a blast. Nothing was fazing her, and she's just going along like someone had thrown a party for her. Guess how that made my lady feel? Because when you're irritated and frustrated, there's almost nothing worse than like a happy, enjoyable person that doesn't seem to like it gets under your skin. That's what was happening. And I watched, and the lady, the energy was building. I was like, ooh. What's going to happen here? And she comes up to the checkout lady and she decides to inform this lady about the serious situation going on here. She said, aren't you frustrated? How can you be so happy? And she's loud enough for all to know. How can you just be so happy when all of this is going on? We're waiting. Like she was trying to rally the troops at how horrible this is. Let's all get upset about it. Let's spread that energy. The lady's response was, it's not busy, I'm just popular. The lady was stunned into silence. Said nothing more, energy shifted in an instant, and we all laughed, and to this day, I get to keep sharing that story. We have these moments in everyday life to shine, and that's what that checkout lady did. And the other, but she was probably not the kind of shining we want to be, the energy that we're sharing out. So think about how you are showing up. What's your brand to shine? What are you choosing to share out? And I invite you, the next time you're in that line, take a breath, pause, and take that moment to choose how you want to be in that space. You get to choose every single day, every single breath. So I asked in the beginning, how many of you wanted to make a positive difference? Most of you raised your hand. And I've asked you to explore a little bit of your why. Because it's good to want to make a difference, but let's be specific. We make a difference just by being who we are, showing up, interacting with others, but we can actually be purposeful in the difference that we're making. We can say yes to things that move us more in that direction and no to things that don't. Here's a little known secret. You guys like secrets? Okay. We all only have 24 hours in a day. Nobody gets extra hours. But here's the magic. We get to choose what we say yes or no to every 24 hours. We have a tendency to add yes, yes, yes. Oh yeah, put it on my plate too. Like we'll take other people's stuff. Let me take that burden off. Boom. We'll put it on our plate, neglecting to take something off of our plate. Have any of you been to those smorgasbords or you know what I'm talking about? So I like variety. I like to try everything. But when you're at the beginning of the buffet line, you don't know what's at the end, but I know there's going to be something good. So you're making choices throughout the time that your plate is the same size as everyone else's, right? I'm making choices and not knowing what new opportunities are going to come. And I'm sure there's chocolate somewhere there. So I have a little chocolate spot always reserved. Do you have a chocolate spot reserved on your plate for that amazing opportunity that's going to come? Or is your plate so full there's no room for chocolate? Or whatever your chocolate is. So when your plate gets full, that's when like the olives start rolling off and the cucumbers, and I'm okay letting some of those go. The chocolate I put in the center. You know what I want to invite you to put in the center? Is you. You are the chocolate. Always carve time out on your plate for you. And hey, when something rolls off, that's not a time to beat yourself up. That's a time to realize, oh, my plate's full. Okay. Now that I know that, what do I choose to take off? What do I choose to put on? And you'll be more careful about letting other people put stuff on your plate. Because we can do that. So part of shining, part of not being a secret, of really showing up, is being very aware of how you're spending your 24 hours, what you're putting on the plate. Are you in the center? So I mean, I want us to really pay attention. Are we in the center? Are we rolling off? We've got to be in the center if we're going to shine. And something else is being willing to serve. And to me, I heard that from all of you, wanting to make a difference. To me, that's how I have a willingness. But the other part of that is this alone is not going to do the trick. You have to be willing to be seen. You do that, no one else does that for you. You can get help, but you've got to be willing to be seen. When I first started having my events, I loved the coordinating and the bringing the people together and the speakers, but I wasn't on my stage, really. I was willing to bring the people together. I was willing to introduce. I was the MC at my own event. And I would do maybe a presentation. Maybe. If there was time, and then I would squish it down to accommodate everyone else. I did. And you know the feedback I got on almost all of the feedback forms? Where's Rebecca? I had to be willing to be seen. I had to be willing to share too and to stand in that. So we have to be willing. It's not enough to just be willing to make a difference. You have to be willing to be seen. But set yourself up for success. Play to your strengths. Get support. I haven't walked off a stage yet. I've eyed the exit strategy a few times. But that shift sets me up to know every time I choose, I'm choosing. And there's a purpose. So find what you need to be able to be seen. For you to be in the center at your own events. I see this with the radio show hosts a lot too. It's easy to, not easy, but what we can do sometimes is we can bring the talent, the experts we're going to highlight, and then we get lost behind it. Because we want to lift them up, we want to share them, but the people who are coming to the show every week are coming for the host. And the host's responsibility is to serve the listeners. So we have to remember that in the things we are doing to make sure we're truly being visible and sharing when we're doing it. And it's important to grow, evolve, be willing and open to learn new things. Let people pour into you. It's not a solo journey. Be willing to grow from the inside out. Be willing to share, build your gifts, discover what they are. If you're not sure what your strengths are, find out, and then be willing to share them. That's how we make a difference, is sharing our gifts, our heart, our beingness with others, because you're made on purpose and for a purpose, and I believe for such a time as now, or you wouldn't be here today. So what is that you're called to bring forward? What is that you're called to share? And are you willing? You have a choice. And you know that list of things I told God I shouldn't have to and I hope never would? When I was telling him all those things, no one was asking me to do any of those things. They were like the worst imaginable fears I could think of. to hide from. And I've learned every step prepares me for the next. And I now do all of those things on a regular basis, and I love it. Please interview me. Please put me on camera. I love it, but I never knew that about myself. And it didn't start there. And it's not because I want to see myself everywhere. It's not that. It's that I want to make a difference. I want people to know how important they are, how needed they are. That person who's lost hope, I want them to gain it again. That person who needs a hug and needs love, I want them to know they are loved and they are needed and there is hope. And I want them to hear it in as many voices and in as many ways as they can. That's why I lean into all those different platforms, opportunities. What are you stepping into to impact the people you're wanting to impact? What are you growing and evolving into? What is that edge that we're willing to step just a little bit more, be a little bit more visible? What is that for you? And what I find is there's this thing that comes up, the F word, fear. And when we feel fear, we start to think, danger, danger, I need to not be here. And we back away. Most of the time, though, I find fear is just an emotion, like happiness, sadness, celebration. And if you pause, breathe, and actually lean in with curiosity, what am I afraid of? And if you asked me those things I was telling God I hope I never had to do, I was afraid of being seen. Someone might not like what I had to say. I might not know how. Those are the things I was afraid of. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes I don't know how. But then I learn. And I step forward, and every time I survive that fear and that new thing, I become more courageous. I recognize, oh, this is a moment to lean in. And I call it dance with fear. Have any of you done like partner dances? And how they teach you to have that frame, and there's a certain distance. And when you move together. So I'm able to keep this space with fear. And I'm able to observe it and see, what am I afraid of? And I can even lean a little closer and back and dip and weave. And when I look at fear from a lot of different angles and I lean in, a lot of times is it, well, they just might not like me. But you know what? They might. And I might make a difference for one. And you know what? I have a conversation with fear. I'm willing to be uncomfortable. I'm willing to be scared. I'm willing to have my knees shake if it can make a difference for another. And every time I survive another thing like that that's new, I actually start to enjoy it and get curious and want to do more. So, what are you afraid of? Is it a real fear where you're actually truly in danger? Or is it more, I don't know how? They may not like. And I'm going to invite you, those aren't things to be afraid of. You're safe. It's okay to be seen. It's okay to learn. It's okay to grow. And we can celebrate that and encourage each other on. So what are you afraid of? Are you willing? Again, it goes to this willing, choosing. Are you willing to face the fear? Are you willing to dance with fear? Are you willing to navigate through that so that you can shine? So you can really have that impact and truly be seen. And what if I said several times, it's not a solo journey. So guess what? Lifting you up is your community. Friends, family, supporting you, cheering you on. The people you can share, I'm scared. And they can say, I've got you. You're going to be great. Let me cheer you on. Let me stand beside you. Your community that's with you, that supports you in that vision that you see that's bigger than you. But you're the one that's called to bring it forward. I wanted to provide you an opportunity to get support on the journey. So I'm going to have my team hand out. I think it's already handed out. They are so efficient. So my team has handed out the opportunity. And this is for the Global Shine community. This is a way that if you want to get support going forward, we want to give that to you. We'd love to have you back at our live events. Absolutely. Please. We'd love to have you here. But there's a lot of weeks that go on in between the events. And we wanted to be able to support you, and we wanted to be able to connect the world. So can I share my mission statement? I'm very excited about the mission statement. I have to read it because I'm still learning it. So here's our mission statement. We are a positive global community committed to helping our members around the world grow powerfully and shine from the inside out into the world. We want us to become the light bearers, to share our gifts, to grow our gifts, become strong, become empowered, encouraged to bring them to the world. Here are our values. We are a positive, supportive global community that encourages authentic connection. We equip and empower our members to grow and shine from the inside out into the world. We are committed to providing quality tools and resources to support each other, so it's not just one-to-many, each other, in practical and profound ways. I believe both are important. We are committed to growing our global Shine community to have members in over 100 countries around the world. We celebrate the journey together, cheering each other on as we stretch, grow, and shine. That is what we are about as a community. We are launching in July 10th will be our first meeting. We'll have it over the phone, so people who aren't ready to Zoom in, you don't need to worry about that. We have recordings. You can either come while we're doing the recording, and we'll actually turn the recording off after the formal presentation, and you can get to know each other. You can say hi. You can ask questions of our community. We're going to have a private Facebook group where you can connect. I'm going to lead us in a common subject on a monthly basis. So what I'm playing with, you can't hold me to this, but what I'm playing with is having celebration be what we focus on for the month of July. And we'll give you tools and resources to support yourself personally in doing that, celebrating, bringing celebration to your life, celebrating as a community. How do we do that? How do we build that in? Because if we're going to shine, we have to be able to shine. We need to be able to grow and have support. That's what we're going to be doing. I'd love to have you join us. We have a couple of different ways. There's a pay-as-you-go type of plan, or there's a one-time, I don't want to worry about those ongoing monthly payments kind of thing, and I want all the goodies as a platinum foundational member. You have that opportunity as well. So I'd love for you to explore that, see if it would serve you. I'm very excited to have us reach that goal of being in over 100 countries. And can I tell you, that's a stretch. The radio show platform I'm on, we're in over 140 countries. But I'm not personally yet. And I wrestled with God about this. I said 20 countries. 40. How about 40 countries? I can do 40. Let's, And it was no, 100. What I got the energy, what I want to grow this to, the vision and the responsibility I'm being given in this is over 100 countries. And I can tell I get excited when I share that. And I'm sharing that because you may have those things that to say that, to claim it out loud is a stretch, but yet there's the energy that you're pulled and called to. So I invite you to lean in to those opportunities. So with that, I want us to take a moment and pause and close your eyes. I'm going to ask you, this is just very personal, and you can decide to share or not. Let's take a breath. How many of you, and this, don't raise your hands, this is internally, it's a yes or no, are willing to be seen just a little bit more? Are willing, we're going to put the stake in the ground. I am willing. Are you willing to share just a little bit more, to be seen a little bit more, to share the gift of who you are just a little bit more? Just see what the answer is. It can still be a yes, but. We can work with that. But is it a yes or is it a no? And if it's a yes, I'm going to ask you to very carefully, eyes closed, because I want to respect how visible you want to be. But if you are willing, I invite you to stand, eyes closed, so do it carefully, but really stand in your willingness. Like we're standing in the truth. We're willing. Are you willing to be seen just a little bit more? I want you to stand in it. I want you to feel the community supporting you, feel that floor supporting you, that you're willing to be seen just a little bit more. Share just a little bit more of the gift of who you are with another. I see you. I acknowledge you. I celebrate you and all those you will touch, heart by heart, life by life. And if this is enough visibility for you, I honor that. And you can take a seat. For those of you, one moment. For those of you who are ready to actually be seen in your stand, be seen. I can tell I didn't state it quite correctly. So be seen, taking your stand. Be seen, willing to share a little bit more of who you are. Then I invite you to stay standing. I will have us open our eyes in a moment, and then we as a community can support and celebrate you. So I'm going to count to 3. On 3, if you do want to be seen and celebrated with us, stay standing. If you don't, please come and give me a hug later. I'm celebrating with you, but I honor where you are and wanting to be seen and where you're wanting to stand. 1, 2, 2.5, 2 3/4, 3. Open up your eyes and let's celebrate. And in fact, you guys want to dial it up one more? I would love to have you come to the stage as we stand together, sending our love to our viewing audience and to everyone in the room. So those of you who want to dial it up, come on up. Our beautiful shining stars. Wonderful. It was like, no hiding. Beautiful. So I acknowledge and celebrate each and every one of you at whatever level of visibility you're ready to step into. And I celebrate your love, your willingness to step forward, to be seen. Can we send like a love whoosh? to everyone in the room and to our viewing audience on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Whoosh. Yay! Thank you, everyone, for celebrating with me and standing so brightly and shining, and for your beautiful love wishes and supporting and cheering all of us on. So thank you very much.